to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic on a roasting hot day here in the UK. It is absolutely boiling, and apparently it's only going to get hotter as well, which is slightly disconcerting. But to distract us from the heat, we're going to be trying a puzzle called DDR today by Math Pesto, and this is just so beautiful. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Dance Dance Revolution game, which I think I've probably played a couple of times in my life. I know Mark is an expert at it, by the way, and he has assured me that if I manage to solve this puzzle correctly, he will definitely record a video of him sort of mastering the hardest level. So you may want to drop a like into the video and a nice comment to try and persuade him to do that. But yeah, I mean, this is just so beautiful. It's literally, you know, what are these chevrons in the grid, which look like those instructions you used to get on the screen telling you where to put your feet. So this is a challenge. I don't know, by the way, how difficult this puzzle is. I just know it looks good. And I'll read you the rules of this one in just a moment or two. I do have some announcements first. Let's start with happy birthday to Piotr from Gdansk. Your friend Bartosz got in touch and said, I'm not sure it's your actual birthday today. It might have slipped past, but Bartosz told me that you'd like a shout out anyway. So Piotr, I hope you have a brilliant day with loads and loads of cake. And also Thomas Waldron, today is your 33rd birthday, I believe. So I hope you have cake too, although it might need to be refrigerated if you are anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere. Next, yeah, I want to thank Evelyn Blackwell, who mentioned, some of you in the comments have noted that in your countries, tiny URL links to our puzzles are problematic. And Evelyn pointed out that there are websites like, what's this one called? expandurl.net. And if you get a tiny URL, and for some reason it's not working, go to expandurl.net, put in the tiny URL link, and apparently it restores the full length of the original link, and you can just copy and paste that into your browser and you should be able to access the puzzle that way. So that struck me as quite a clever idea. So we don't often use tiny URL links, but sometimes we need to. In fact, I think we're probably going to be using it today because the colours of this are so redolent with this sort of very dark yellow. So if we do use it today, expandurl.net should help you out if you can't for some reason access the puzzle. Now, more of you have correctly solved Joseph Nehme's Sudoku Hunt, which is available over on Patreon at the moment. The competition is running until the 20th, so you've still got days to enter it if you haven't finished yet. And very well done to the following who are correct: Lauren Bailey, Stephanie Schulze, Scott Wigington, Glyn Story, Nadine and Tobias, Phil Schaffer, Gregory Garrett, Jason Osborne, Joseph Duncan, Rick Lobb, and Johan and Marianne. All of you very well solved indeed. Brilliant work. And now the only other thing I've got to mention is, of course, that Domino Sudoku is out. So if you can get it on App Store, you can get it on Android, and when you download it, it comes with 7 free puzzles by Prasanna Seshadri, completely free, so that's definitely worth doing. And then you can download for, I think it's $4.99, the actual app Domino Sudoku, which is something we've been working on for over a year now. It features puzzles by the great and the good of the puzzle community, and we've been delighted with the feedback. So thank you so much if you're one of those who's downloaded it. Thank you even more if you're one of those who's written a nice review. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, we commend the app to you. Now, there might be more noise. You may have already heard some of it today because I've opened all windows, all doors, in an effort to keep my office, which is in the attic of my house, a little bit cool. You'll have to forgive me, though there is nothing else for it. It's so hot. I think the car said it was 35 degrees, which for British people is just absurd. Anyway, what are the rules of DDR? Let me read them to you. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Digits in a circle appear at least once each in the 4 surrounding cells. So let's stop there and check we understand that. So those 4 cells must contain at least one 6. Those 4 cells contain at least one 8. Those 4 cells contain at least 2 7s and 1 6, etc. Now, adjacent digits on a green line differ by at least 5, so these are so-called German whispers lines. And we've got to make sure if we made that a 1, for example, this next cell would have to be at least 5 different from 1. So it would have to be 6, 7, 8 or 9, etc. Any set of 3 sequential cells on an orange line. This is a yellow line. What are you talking about, orange? Is that really orange? Goodness, my eyesight is bad. Anyway, any set of 3 sequential cells on an orange line contains a low digit, a 1, 2 or 3, a middle digit, a 4, 5 or 6, or a high digit, which is a 7, 8 or 9. So these are, I think they're called entropic lines. I think I've done a puzzle with this rule set before. And what that means is if we could take any sequence of 3 cells on the line, let's take those 3. So these 3 cells, one of them needs to contain a 1, 2 or 3, one of them needs to contain a 4, 5 or 6, and the next one needs to contain a 7, 8 or a 9. So that's how these yellow or yellow-orangey lines work. And now digits on a purple line form a set of non-repeating consecutive numbers in any order. So these are Renban lines. So imagine we found there was a 1 here. Then we would know, because the lines on the purple line, or the digits on the purple line have to be consecutive, it must contain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and those can appear in any order. So we could have, I don't know, 3 and 2. That might be a legitimate way of filling in a purple line. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, having said let's get cracking, I don't really know how to get cracking. Perhaps it might be an idea to consider each type of chevron separately and try and work out what we know about it. So let's start with purple. What do we know about purple, if anything? We know that it's a 6-cell sequence. So, right, okay, so if you imagine the digits 1 to 9 lined up in order, and you were to slice a consecutive run of 6 from somewhere along that line, then there's always going to be a 4, 5 and a 6 in that sequence, isn't there? Because if we start with 9, we're going to have 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. If we start with 1, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's always a 4, 5 and a 6 on this line. I don't really know. I don't particularly even want to pencil mark that, to be honest. Right, let's try green lines. Green lines are susceptible to secrets that do exist about German whispers. So perhaps, it's going to get loud, I'm sorry. Yeah, there are 2 secrets to know about German whispers lines. The first is that you can never have a 5 on a whispers line. And that's because the next digit becomes quickly impossible, because it's got to be 5 different from 5. Which means it's either got to be 0 or negative, or a double-digit number. And the corollary of that is, once you can never have a 5 on a green line, the digits have to sort of oscillate. We call it the oscillating polarity principle. So if this cell's a 3, for example, the next digit has to flip the other side of the 5. So it would have to be 8 or 9. Even if it's 9, the next digit has to flip the other side of the 5 from 9. Because 5 different from 9 is obviously 4. So 4, 3, 2 and 1 would be the options. So along green lines we have to oscillate. Right, okay, but I actually have a deduction. Right, good. I feared my brain might not work today in the heat and with the distraction of the noise outside. But look, we can't put 4 on this line anywhere, because if we do, we've got 2 next digits, and 4 can only go next to 1 Sudoku digit on a green line, because we need a digit that's 5 away from 4. Well, that's the digit 9. There's only one of them. So you'd have to put 2 9s in the box, and the same is going to be true for 6, isn't it? If you put 6 on a green line, you've got to put double 1 in. So that means in any box in this puzzle with a green chevron, the 4s, the 5s and the 6s all have to be locked off the lines. So this is lovely. We get an immediate 4, 5, 6-age. Now hang on. No. Oh, sorry, yeah, I was just suddenly thinking 4, 5 and 6 are interesting in green boxes. But 4, 5 and 6 were also the digits that we knew something about in the purple boxes. Okay, I'm not really sure how to use that. But it is interesting also to think about the yellowy orangey lines, because they also have, 4, 5 and 6 is one of the digits that we've got to put in a yellowy orangey cell, isn't it? So maybe it's 4, 5, 6s that are interesting. No, okay. I've got two other things I want to do now before I think about that. The first is to ask a facetious question, actually. How many 6s are we anticipating there being in column 6 of this puzzle? Hopefully, you've answered that with 1. There will be 1 6 in column 6. And how many 6s are we expecting in column 7 of the puzzle? Well, 1. That means in these 18 cells there are exactly 2 6s. But if we look at the quadruple clues here, we know there's 1 6 in that 2x2, and I know there's 1 6 in that 2x2. So the 2 6s in column 6 and 7 are in these 8 cells. That means we can't put 6s in any of those cells, and that means those digits are not 6. Which means there's a 6 in the right-hand side of box 6, and in the left-hand side of box 8. Okay, that might do something, but I don't know what it is. The other thing I wanted to do actually was to just think about the nature of the yellowy orangey line. Now, what do we know about this, if anything? We know that each 3 cells along the line have to be different. There's going to be low, middly, and high, don't we? So if that was low, well, no, let's make that dark grey. We therefore know this is different to dark grey. Let's make that black. We therefore know this is different from grey and black because it's the 3rd digit in the sequence. So let's make that light grey. So that must be light grey, because then if we start the sequence from here, we go black, dark grey. That's got to be light grey. So that's got to be black, and that's got to be dark grey. So that's a little bit interesting, because what that's telling us is that the centre of the chevron, these 2 cells, so that means those 2 cells and these 2 cells, are always the same. I'll call it polarity, but if this was if this was low, that would also be forced to be low. If this was medium, this would be medium. If this was high, this would be high. Okay, no, sorry. Well, let's just bear that in mind. I don't think I've quite got to the bottom of this though yet. 4 has to be in one of those cells. Oh. Okay. Alright, let's come back to here. This is very interesting. I should have spotted this immediately. Now, there are 2 7s to be placed in this 2x2. And that's quite interesting, because how are you going to put 2 7s around this 2x2? Well, they're going to have to go diagonally. Because if you put the 7 there, obviously you can't put 7 here or here now. But if you do this, if you have the 7s in these 2 positions, why is there a problem? And it's really quite clever, because if you do put 2 7s here, you have to put a 6 either here or here on a whisper, where we know we can't do that. So the 7s don't do that. The 7s do this. And that means, oh, this is superb, right? Okay. So now can that be 6? And the answer is no. Because if that's 6, remember what we said about the purple lines. The purple lines contain 4, 5 and 6 because they're a sequence of 6 consecutive digits. So that's not 6. So that's 6. So now, what does that tell us? Well, that tells me where 6 goes in box 8. Look, it's got to go here. So there's a 6. Okay, there's a 6 on the purple chevron, which we already knew in box 7 if we'd thought about it. There is... Right, in box 3, there is a 6 in one of those 3 cells, but we know it's on the chevron, so we know it's in these 2 cells. Now that's interesting for this quadruple look, which must have a 6 around it, but now that 6 cannot live on its right-hand side. So there's a 6 in one of these 2 cells, and this is absolutely beautiful. Now I can place 6 in box 1. If you can't see why, pause the video, because it's a good bit of practice. But the reason is to think about how many 6s we're going to expect there to be in rows 1 and 2. Now hopefully, if you think about it, there's 1 6 going to be in row 1, there's 1 6 going to be in row 2. So there are 2 6s altogether in those 18 cells. But we know that there are 2 6s in those 2 dominoes. So I can't have any more 6s over here. Otherwise that will be a third 6 in 2 rows and will necessarily repeat the 6. So I get the 6 in box 1. I get rid of a 6 pencil mark in box 7. And I can 6 and 6. So there's a 6 on the chevron in box 5. Which is a little bit interesting, is it? Maybe. I've got 7. Yes. Yes, okay, I've got 7 on a whisper here. Oh, this is huge. This is huge, yeah. Okay, so what digits can we put next to 7 on a whisper? Well, the answer to that is only 1 and 2, because we need digits that are 5 away. But what I'd missed here is that, of course, this chevron, you know, it suffers or benefits, depending upon your point of view, from the oscillating polarity principle. So as soon as we know that this is a high digit on the whisper, we know not only that these 2 are low, but because we have to oscillate, we know those 2 are high, and they can't be 6 or 7, so they have to be 8 and 9, and that has to be a 3. And that same logic is going to apply. Oh no, right, okay, this is gorgeous. This is I love this. This is very, very clever indeed. So let's come back to this box. Remember what we said? We said that these 2 have the same polarity. Well, we've just worked out that they can't be 1, 2. These 2 digits cannot be low. But we also worked out that these 2 digits are not the same polarities that live in the wings of the orange chevrons. Well, that's a medium polarity digit. So we cannot have medium in either of these 2 cells. And we cannot have low. So these are both high, which means they are 7, 8 and 9. Right, and I'm now starting to realise, I think, that this puzzle is a colouring puzzle. This is a puzzle where we need to keep track of low, medium and high digits, I think. So now I just wanted to have a look at this box because I think it's the same as this one. 7 has to be next to 1, 2. Therefore these 2 digits have to be high and have to be 8 and 9. Therefore this digit has to be 3. Yeah, and look at this. You always get... right, okay, so you always get a run of the same polarity down the sort of mid-strut of a chevron, a green chevron, which means those 3 digits there are either all high or all low digits. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can do anything with that. But, oh, look, okay. I was wondering whether I could use the quadruple clues to shed light on any of this. Right, what we need to do, though, I think, is to do some shading. So I am going to use cold blue for my low digits. Cold is something I would like to be, but I'm not. We shall use hot digits are meant to be sunny, aren't they? So 7s, 8s and 9s will be orange. They can be orange. And then we need a digit that's going to be suitably distinct for our middly digits. And also, I suppose, yes, I'll make those grey. Grey, dull, middly digits. So that is a grey dull middly digit. These are both high digits. We've got grey middly digits in box 1. We've got, yes, okay, well, let's continue now to fill in this box's colouring, because of the orange property, or the orange lines property. I think we can do this. We've got high, medium, so that must be low. Then we've got low, high, that must be medium, so that's got to be blue. So we get more shading done. That's got to be 4 or 5. I've got all my greys in column 9 now. Ah, right, I'm going to use that because remember what we said about purple chevrons. Purple chevrons have 4s, 5s and 6s on them. Well, those 4s, 5s and 6s cannot now be in those two cells, and I can't put more than one of them in these cells because I've already got 2 low digits in the column. So that means in order to put 3 low digits, or sorry, 3 middly digits on the purple chevron, those 2 digits both have to be grey, which means that they are 4, 5 or 6. One of these has to be grey. Don't quite know what that means, and I've still got to put in this column, I've still got to put one, oh yeah, I've got to put one grey. I've still got to put one more grey in this column. Well, we know it can't be here because the greys live on the purple, so that cell has got to be orange, this cell's got to be grey, therefore this is 4 or 5, this is 7, 8, 9, I've got a 4, 5 pair. Ah, right, now let's look at this purple chevron now, because that cell cannot be low. Yes, it's the same sort of trick. Let's have a look at these 3 digits and ask how many of those can be low. And the answer is 1 only, because I've already got 2 middly digits. Sorry, I'm probably getting all my nomenclature mixed up as I do this, but you can see we've already got 4 and 5 in row 8 already. So I can put a 6 into this string, but no other middly digit. This can't be a middly digit, so these 4 digits contain exactly 1 middly digit, whereas all 3 middly digits go onto the chevron. So those 2 cells have to be a 4, 5 pair. They can't be 6 because of this 6. And these are middly digits, which means that 5 is now around this quadruple and isn't in those 2 cells. So there's a 5 in one of these 2, which means that's not a 5. And this row now needs to have... Yes, okay. What are these 2 digits? And the answer is 1 blue, 1 orange. So that's a sort of, I'll make those purple just to say one of, actually, shall I make them purple? No, that's a bit ambiguous because I don't know. Maybe I'll make them blue and orange and then give them a purple flash. So blue and orange with a purple flash means that these are 1 of each in box 9. So if we do a count on this row now, we've got 1 orange, 2 orange and 1 orange in those 2, so that's 3 orange. So this cell, which can't be middly and now can't be orange, has to be, you've guessed it, blue. 1 or 2. Oh, this is... I love this puzzle. This puzzle is just beautiful. Remember earlier I said that those 3 digits have to be the same parity, or the same polarity, or the same middliness, or whatever. Well, now they can't be low, because if this is the 3 low digits, I've got 4 low digits in column 2. So they all have to be high, which means these all have to be low. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Is that doing anything? Maybe it's not. I don't know, actually. That might not be doing as much as I was hoping. Right, okay, but this column now has got all 3 of its middly digits. What does that mean? So these 5 cells here are either blue or orange. Right, okay, I think I can purplify this domino then, because these are consecutive digits on an orange line, which we know cannot be the same highness, lowness, middliness. So those are 2 of each, which means that, yes, and they are a low and a high digit. Now look at the disposition of this one, which is it's the same geometry. It's the same geometry exactly as this. So on the 2 wings you get 2 colours, and in the middle you get the other colour. So if in this domino I have blue and orange, these 2 digits need to be grey, and these 2 digits need to be blue and orange with a purple flash. And these are grey, so these are 4, 5 and 6. Oh, and I know they're not 5. Oh, good grief. So this is a 4, 6 pair. There's a 5 in... Oh, yes, and there's a 5 in one of these from the... this would have been simpler. There's a 5 in one of these from the quadruple clue, and it's not there because we've already got the 3 middly digits in column 1. So that is a 5, and therefore it's middly. These are 3 blues, therefore, which is a bit strange. Oh, it allows me to place 6 in box 7, because it can't be on a blue cell, so that's a grey cell. This cell now, well, yeah, we can colour this whole box now. We've got 3 blues, 3 middlies, so everything else in the box is high, and 7 can be placed. 8, 9 pair can be placed. 7 is not here anymore. Right, okay, and now I can get the colour of this. I haven't done a really good colouring puzzle for a long time, and they are very, very fun. Right, remember these 2 digits, which are sort of like this chevron. These have to be different. Well, therefore, one of these is orange and completes the quota of orange for column 1. So that can't be orange, and that's got to be blue, which means it's a 1 or a 2, because it can't be a 3. And now, count the blues in box 4. 1, 2, 3. So that's got to be orange, which means that is 7, 8 or 9. No, I was wondering whether I could now use... No, these quadruple clues are really weird. Like this one is a 4, which seems to be able to go... I suppose it can't go... Oh, maybe that's the point. It can't go here. So one of those 2 is a 4. Okay, no, alright. The 5 we've done. The 2, can that be a 2? That would be on a purple line. So if the 2 was here, the purple line would have to have 3 on it, and 4, 5 and 6. So it would be 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and either 1 or 7 as the last digit. Hang on, can I do something with this line now? I'm not sure. I was just wondering, because neither of these cells can be blue, which means blue appears in this domino on the entropic line, and blue appears in that domino. Okay, but there's definitely... yeah, this is it. This is it. So I know what I know how this orange line works. Because there's a middly digit in this domino, and now I've worked out that there's also blue digits in the wings of this entropic line, we now know that it's middly and blue in the outsides of the chevron. So that's middly and low. And this is 1 of each, so we can purplify both of those dominoes. And that means the middle of the chevron, just like here, has got to be orange, which means these squares are 7, 8 and 9. Now, this looks interesting as well, because I keep coming back to this box where I think actually we've learnt loads about how this entropic line geometry works, but you always get a sort of X-swing of the digits. So we've got a 6 here, and then the other middly digit is in this position. It's not here. It drops down and forms a sort of line of an X. So that means if we consider these 4 cells, if this was middly, this would be middly. And if this was middly, this would be middly. But that means in row 2, one of these is middly. And therefore it completes the quota of middliness for row 2, which means these 2 squares have to be not middly, which means they have to be blue or orange. So can we do any better than that? One of these is blue. Yes, okay. I think it's legitimate now to say this is one of each polarity, because if we do a count on this row now of, let's count blues and oranges, I've got 2 oranges and I've got 2 middlies, and because one of these is blue, I've got 2 blues. Yeah, one of these is middly, isn't it? So I've got 3, yes, I've got all 3 middlies. I need 1 more orange and 1 more blue. So this must be one of each, and they get purplified. And this is one of each on a renban. Okay, that's a little bit interesting. So if we think about this renban now, because I know that it's definitely got a low digit on it, which is a 1, 2 or a 3, and it's definitely got a high digit, which is a 7, 8 or a 9. If it just had 7 on it, it would be 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. But if it just had 3 on it, it would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it cannot have 9 on it. It cannot, oh, okay, which is... So that's telling us 9 is in one of 3 places in the box, and it can't have 1 on it. That's the other. That's going to be the corollary of that, isn't it? Can't have 1 either, because if it had 1 on it, it would be the digits 1 to 6, and it couldn't have 7 on it. Yet we know it's got a high digit on it. This is weird. So there is a 1 in one of those 3 positions. It's absolutely useless. Okay, sorry, I think I've probably been wasting people's time by thinking about that. What else can we do here? Can we get more purplification, perhaps? I know this is one of each. I've still got to put the third. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here's something simple. I've got to put a third grey on this purple line. Where does it go? It can't go here. There's already 3 greys, so that's got to be grey. Now, grey is most certainly not compatible with 8. That's a 4, 5, or 6, which means that's. Oh, I see. That's just giving me a 4, 5 pair here. So, is there a reason this can't be an 8? I don't think so. Oh, here's something interesting. There's a reason that can't be an 8, because it sees a 7, 8, 9 triple. So the 8 in this quadruple is in one of those 2 cells, which means that can't be an 8. How can I have been going at this for half an hour? That has flown past. I don't quite know, therefore, what to do next. We could argue about... So these digits here have to be middly or low. Is there a reason they can't be one of those things? Got 4 looking up. Ah, here's something. Right, in this box, one of these is middly, and it's not 6, so it's got to be 4 or 5, and there's a 4 looking up from the quadruple clue. So there is a 5 in one of those two positions, which means that's a 4 by Sudoku, which means that cannot be a 4 now by Sudoku. So that's a 5, that's a 5, that's a 4, that's a 6. Come on. No, okay, it's going to stop, is it? Oh, you rotten thing. Is it really going to stop there? It might do, you know. Hang on. Where is the last high digit in this box? Well, those two cells have to find a home, and the only place they seem to be able to go now is there. So now in this column, I'm replete. I've got 3 low, 3 high, so those are 3 middlies. And they are therefore 4, 5, and 6. So that's a 4 by Sudoku. It's got a sort of deadly pattern of 4s, 5s. How's that going to get resolved? That's going to get resolved by... Ooh. I don't know. That's a bit worrying. I'm now worried I've made a mistake because I don't see how I'm ever going to resolve this 4, 5, 6 conundrum. These are both middlies on an entropic line. These are both on a Wren band, so nothing is going to tell us the order of these. And no, it's fine. It's fine. This is fine. In fact, you can see it's actually resolved. I was just wondering. Yeah, this is fine because the 4 here is going to give us the 4 here. That's going to give us the 5. That's the 5. That's 6. That's 6. That's the 4. Because these were offset, it was always going to fix, and I was just going crazy. This is the heat. Right, that's 5. So this is a 4, 6 pair in box 3. 4 can be placed by Sudoku in row 3, I think. It can't go there and it can't go there, so it must go here. So that becomes a middly digit. Now this square's blue, and that's because if you look at this box, we've got all the high digits placed. We know the 5 is there, the 6 is there, and the 4 is there, so that must be a blue digit, which is very annoying because that could still be a 2, therefore. Okay, so what's that digit? That's low. Oh, that's beautiful. Right, that is absolutely beautiful. This puzzle is quality, considering it's made up of real sort of DDR shapes. It's real quality, this, because I now know what this Renban is. And that's because we've got an exact count on its lownesses and highnesses. And that's because, look here. We know one of these digits is high and one of them is low. And I've just found a second low digit on the Renban. So it must be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the only way it can work. So there is definitely a 7 in one of those two cells. And we know where it goes. Good grief. That's a 7. So this square is now... Right, that square is now definitely high. This square is definitely low and is... well, it can't be 1, can it? It's got to be 2 or 3. This has got to be 2 or 3. That's not 7 anymore. So now 7 in this column seems to have to go here, which is slightly weird. How did I get the 7 over there? I don't remember, but okay. Let's not revisit logic that hopefully I did sensibly earlier on. Now, what can we say about the world now? We can... Gosh, if I could get the 2 in here, it would give me this digit. So why isn't that digit a 2? Is there a reason? I don't know. Can we... Okay, sorry, Okay, so what else do we know? What do we know about this box? We know we've not placed 1, 8 and 9. So this can't be a 1 apparently. Oh, I don't know. Oh, what's going on there? Sorry, I don't know what happened there, but that was very odd. This can't be a 1. So that means the 1 is up here along with an 8 or a 9. So this can't be a 1. This cell, we already knew that couldn't be a 6. Sorry. Do we know whether that can be high? No, to know that we're going to need to know this. Do we know? Yeah, so basically what we've now learned is that these two cells are opposite one another. So if that's high, that's low. And if that's low, that's high. Okay, so now I don't know what to do. We've probably got to use the quadruple clues. I've used this one, so it's probably not that one. I've used this one. What about this one? Yeah, this is the one that I think there's probably some way I can prove. It looks like it wants to have a 2 here, doesn't it, to fix this cell. That's what it feels like it wants to do, but I don't know how I rule 2 out of this. Have we got a way of learning what the size is of the digits on this Renban somehow? Let's check the rows just to see whether or not. Yeah, no, okay, so this is 1 of each. This is 1 low, 1 high. But in the columns we don't seem to have enough information to figure this out. Seven has to be in one of those two cells. If you don't put 7 on the Renban, then you've got to put 1s, 2s and 3s into those cells. Again, is that a problem? Actually, that is a problem for that. Ah, okay, right. Okay, so this is interesting. Look at the middle box and ask where 7 goes. Now, can it go here? And I think the answer is no, because once 7 is off the Renban, 8 and 9 are off the Renban as well, and 8 and 9 would have to go in those squares. And that's going to give us 3 cells in column 6 that all have to be 8 and 9. So that means, this is great. This is great, because that means 7 is not only on the Renban, well, that seems to make that a 9, and that a 9, and that an 8. I'm not sure if it does more than that. But I can see it's also got the 2 up here, which I'm excited to investigate. Oh, this is 8 now. That's 9. So that's not 8, and that's not 9. This row now needs a 1 or a 2 into that position, which is definitely a blue digit. So that's interesting. Okay, I'm not sure whether I can keep going with that, but I want to use the fact I know that one of those is a 2 on this cell. So that's got to be a 3, that's got to be a 2. So this is now a 1-2 pair. This is now a 1 or a 3. This is now a 1 or a 2. There's a 1-2 pair in this row, so that has to be a 3. So there's a 1-2 pair, 1-2 pair here, so this is now a 3. So surely this now does something, doesn't it? 3 is on, oh no, this is an entropic line, so there's nothing clever we can do with that. This cell is a 1 or a 9 by Sudoku, which of course could either be orange or blue. So that cell is 1, 2 or 8. And that seems to have all the options in the world as well. I don't believe it. And that is why I fail. I don't believe it. I know there's a 2 in one of these. I know there's a 6 in one of these. I know the 8, look, that 8 clue's done. That 6, 7, 7 clue is done. That 4 clue is done. That 5 clue is done. And the 2 clue is all but done, because I know one of those is a 2. So I think probably we've got to think about not quadruple clues to make progress, which is really scary, because I'm just wondering if I can do more with the whisper in this box. Is there some... Yes. Okay. Lovely again. Wow. That can't be 3. Because what numbers can you put next to 3 on a whisper? Only 8 and 9. And that's going to lead to 3 8s and 9s. Well, the other way of thinking about it is you couldn't put 7 in the box if you make that 3. So if that's not 3, that's 1. And that means that's 2. And therefore that's 1. Has that done it? Well, yeah, okay. That gives me a 2 here and a 1 here. Now, what has that done then? So that gives me a 3 here, I suppose. Golly, it must... Right, I see. That gives me the 7 in this box, because 7 can't go next to 3 on the whisper. So this becomes an 8, 9. This becomes an 8, 9 pair. And this square, I've just noticed, can't be a 7 because of this 7. So that gives me a 7 again. Okay, so all the 7s, it feels like they're getting resolved. Yes, I can do them all. So all 7s are now done. And now I can use this orange line, can't I? Because now, oh yeah, I can. This is so, I love this. This is just absolutely world-class setting. Because I now know that's high, and we know that how the geometry of these entropic lines works, I know that's high, and that only has the ability now to be 8, which means this has to be a 1, 3 pair. So that's 1, that's 3, both of which get bluified. And that gives me the 1 and the 2 in this box, which... it's still not giving me where the 3 goes, you rotten thing. Is it really not? I don't know if it is actually. Okay. Well, it's still quite exciting, isn't it? These 2 squares now have to be a 3, 9 pair. Oh, so this is going to revolve around what we can put on this purple line. These 2 squares are a 2, 8 pair, neither of which can be 7. Okay, so the 2, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7. Okay, so all of that's got done. All we've got to do now is figure out the last little bit of this, I think, he says, clutching at straws. We can... How do we do it? Is it... I know what it is. It's this Renban. That's lovely again. It's got loads of little tiny bits of beautiful stuff in it. Right, if we make 1 on the Renban, then we've got 2 off the Renban, and it wouldn't be consecutive. So that's a 2, that's a 1, that's a 2, that's a 1, that's a 1, that's a 9. Oh, this is doing it. This is doing it. That's now not 1 or 8. So that's 2, and that's 8, and that's 9, and that's 9, and that's 9, and that's 8, and that's 8. And that's 8 in the corner. No song for you. That's 1. That's... Has that done it? Yes. 8 here gives me 8 there. Ah, so 8's now off this Renban, which means 7 is the highest digit on the Renban, so we can't put 9 on the Renban. So that's 3, that's 9, that's 2. We can then colour these in, colour these in. 4, 5 must get resolved somehow. Colour these in. And all we've got to do now is figure out what's going on in this box at the top, where we need 3s and 6s, which we can do into those 2 squares, which now, because of entropy, we know that's going to be the middly digit, which is therefore a 5, which means that's got to be the low digit, which is a 2. The 6 and the 4 get resolved, so the 4 and the 5 get resolved, and the 4 and the 5 get resolved, and that, I think, is going to be the correct solution. But let's just finish up our colouring. Grey. Oh, nearly missed one down there. That's got to be blue. Is there any more? There's probably more purplification I've left in the grid. I hope not, though. Let's click tick. Yay! That's wonderful, isn't it? That's just wonderful. It's amazing that you can do that. What I really admire about this is not just the setup, which is these chevrons in the different colours. That's a beautiful, beautiful idea. But Math Pesto must have worked so hard to sort of orientate the chevrons in such a way that they were sort of leading to interesting logic. And then rather than use given digits to sort of get us into the puzzle, these quadruple clues, which are so, you almost overlook them because they're so inoffensive. They don't really sit and stare out of the grid. They don't spoil the aesthetics of it. Yet they really work well with the logic. It's a quality puzzle. DDR, absolute quality. Now remember, if you want to see Mark doing the dancing, get the likes in on the video. I mean, this is something you don't want to miss. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.